Hello students, this is the 17th session of the subject Business Economics of first semester BCom classes. The title of this session is Factor Determining Elasticity of Demand. The title of this session is Factor Determining Elasticity of Demand. Let us recall what we have studied in the earlier sessions. We have studied the meaning of price elasticity, different types of price elasticity, and we have also studied 4 important methods of measuring elasticity. So in this chapter, in this session, we are going to study about the different determinants of elasticity of demand. So let us see what are the important factors which determine the elasticity of demand. The first one is nature of the commodity. Dear students, generally all commodity can be divided into 3 categories. Okay. We can classify the commodities into 3 categories. The first one is, as you know, the necessaries of life. For the necessaries of life, the demand is inelastic. Remember, for the necessaries of life, demand is inelastic. What is the characteristics of inelastic demand? Whatever may be the change in price, the quantity of demand of the commodity remain unchanged. ಕ್ಲಿಯರ್? ಬೆಲೆಯಲ್ಲಿ ಜಾಸ್ತಿಯೇ ಆಗಲಿ ಕಡಿಮೆಯೇ ಆಗಲಿ ಎಷ್ಟು ಪ್ರಮಾಣದಲ್ಲಿ ಅವರಿಗೆ ಅವಶ್ಯಕತೆ ಇರ್ತದೆ ಅಷ್ಟು ಪ್ರಮಾಣದಲ್ಲಿ ಅವರಿಗೆ ತಗೊಳ್ಳೇಬೇಕಾಗ್ತದೆ. ಅದರಲ್ಲಿ ಅವರು ಕಾಂಪ್ರಮೈಸ್ ಮಾಡೋ ಹಾಗೆ ಇರುವುದಿಲ್ಲ. ಫಾರ್ ಎಕ್ಸಾಂಪಲ್ ರೈಸ್, ಸಾಲ್ಟ್, ಕ್ಲಾತ್ ಎಕ್ಸೆಟ್ರಾ. ವಾಟೆವರ್, in the sense they may be dear or cheap, but the consumer has to consume it. So this is the first category of the commodity. The second one is conventional necessaries. Conventional necessaries case, the demand may be elastic or inelastic. ಓಕೆ, ಇಲಾಸ್ಟಿಕ್ಕು ಇರ್ಬೋದು ಅಥವಾ ಇನ್ಇಲಾಸ್ಟಿಕ್ ಕೂಡ ಇರಬಹುದು. ಇಲಾಸ್ಟಿಕ್ ಹೇಗೆ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದರೆ, ಅ ಸ್ಮಾಲ್ ಚೇಂಜ್ ಇನ್ ಪ್ರೈಸ್ ಲೀಡ್ಸ್ ಟು ಇನ್ಫಿನಿಟ್ ಚೇಂಜ್ ಇನ್ ಕ್ವಾಂಟಿಟಿ ಡಿಮಾಂಡ್. ಕ್ಲಿಯರ್? ವಿ ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ಸ್ಟಡಿಡ್ ಇಟ್. ಇಲಾಸ್ಟಿಕ್, ವಾಟ್ ಇಸ್ ಅ ಕ್ಯಾರೆಕ್ಟರ್? ಅ ಸ್ಮಾಲ್ ಚೇಂಜ್ ಇನ್ ಪ್ರೈಸ್, ಸ್ಮಾಲ್ ರೈಸ್ ಆರ್ ಫಾಲ್ ಇನ್ ಪ್ರೈಸ್ ಮೇ ಕಾಸ್ ಇನ್ಫಿನಿಟ್ ಚೇಂಜ್ ಇನ್ ಕ್ವಾಂಟಿಟಿ ಡಿಮಾಂಡ್. Inelastic ಹೇಗೆ? For rise or fall in price, quantity demand remain unchanged. So this is inelastic. In case of conventional necessaries, there is a chance it may be elastic or inelastic. For example, drunkards or the drug addicts, ಅವರಿಗೆ ಪ್ರೈಸ್ ಎಷ್ಟಿದೆ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳೋದು ಇಂಪಾರ್ಟೆಂಟ್ ಇಲ್ಲ. ಅವ್ರಿಗೇನು ಇಂಪಾರ್ಟೆಂಟ್ ಹೇಳಿದರೆ ದೇ ಮಸ್ಟ್ ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ಟು ಕನ್ಸ್ಯೂಮ್ ವೆನ್ ಎವರ್ ದೇ ವಾಂಟೆಡ್ ಟು ಕನ್ಸ್ಯೂಮ್. ಓಕೆ, ಇದು ಆ್ಯಕ್ಚುಲಿ ಕಾನ್ಸೆಪ್ಟ್. ಈವನ್ ದ ಪ್ರೈಸ್ ಇಸ್ ಹೈಯರ್ ಆರ್ ದ ಹೈಯೆಸ್ಟ್, ದೇ ಡೋಂಟ್ ಬಾದರ್, ಬಟ್ ದೇಯರ್ ಟಾರ್ಗೆಟ್ ಇಸ್ ವಾಟ್ ದೇ ವಾಂಟೆಡ್ ಟು ಬೈ, ದಟ್ ದೇ ಮಸ್ಟ್ ಗೆಟ್ ಇಟ್. ಸೊ ದಿಸ್ ಇಸ್ ದ ಕನ್ವೆನ್ಷನಲ್ ನೆಸೆಸರೀಸ್. ವಿಲ್ ಸಿ ದ ಥರ್ಡ್ ನೇಚರ್, ದಟ್ ಇಸ್ ಲಕ್ಸುರಿ ಕಮಾಡಿಟಿ. The demand for luxury goods is usually elastic, as people buy more of them at lower price and they buy very less at higher prices. Clear? Demand for luxury is usually, how is it? Elastic. ಹೇಗೆ ಇಲಾಸ್ಟಿಕ್ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದರೆ, ಎ ಸ್ಮಾಲ್ ಚೇಂಜ್ ಇನ್ ಪ್ರೈಸ್ ಲೀಡ್ಸ್ ಟು ಇನ್ಫಿನಿಟ್ ಚೇಂಜ್ ಇನ್ ಕ್ವಾಂಟಿಟಿ ಡಿಮಾಂಡ್. ಫಾರ್ ಎಕ್ಸಾಂಪಲ್, ಪ್ರೈಸಲ್ಲಿ ಕಡಿಮೆ ಆದರೆ, ಸೊ ಇಫ್ ದರ್ ಈಸ್ fall in price, there may be a greater change in quantity demand. or else you can say fall in price may leads to higher demand. And at the same time, higher price or else if there is hike in price, okay, bele ಜಾಸ್ತಿ ಆದರೆ there will be less in quantity demand. Okay, this is actually the first one which says the nature of the commodity. Remember, under nature of commodity we are having three important factors to discuss. So nature of the commodity is divided into three types. First one is necessary commodities, second one conventional commodities, third one is luxury commodities. In case of necessary commodities, demand is inelastic. In case of conventional commodities, demand may be elastic or inelastic. But in case of luxury commodity, the demand is elastic. Clear? Yes. We'll go for the next one, that is substitute. Demand is elastic for those goods which have substitutes. ಓಕೆ, ಯಾವ ವಸ್ತುವಿಗೆ ಬದಲಿ ವಸ್ತುಗಳು ಲಭ್ಯವಿರ್ತದೆ ಆ ಸಮಯದಲ್ಲಿ ಡಿಮಾಂಡ್ ಈಸ್ ಇಲಾಸ್ಟಿಕ್. ಅ ಸ್ಮಾಲ್ ಚೇಂಜ್ ಮೇ ಲೀಡ್ಸ್ ಟು infinite change in quantity demand. If the goods have no substitute, then demand is inelastic. Whatever may be the price, they will buy at what quantity they require. Okay, this is the case of substitute. Then the third one is number of uses. Demand is elastic if the commodity is using for number of purpose. Okay, the demand is elastic if the commodity is used for number or various purpose. Demand is totally inelastic if it is used for only one use. Okay, if it is used for only one purpose or one use. So in case of substitute, remember, demand is elastic when the goods have substitutes. Demand is inelastic when the goods have no substitute. In case of number of uses, demand is elastic when the commodity having n number of uses. Then demand is elastic when the commodity have only one use. Then we'll go for the fourth one, postponement. Demand is more elastic for those goods which we can postpone. In the sense, demand is more elastic for the goods which we can postpone its use in future. But demand is highly inelastic for those goods which is urgent. Postponement in the sense, for example, ನಿಮಗೆ ಒಂದು ಒಳ್ಳೆಯ ಹೈದ್ರಾಬಾದಿ ಬಿರಿಯಾನಿ ತಿನ್ನಬೇಕು ಅಂತ ಅನಿಸಿದೆ. ಓಕೆ, ಯು ವಾಂಟೆಡ್ ಟು ಈಟ್ ಒನ್ ಹಾಟ್ ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ಸ್ಪೈಸಿ ಹೈದ್ರಾಬಾದಿ ಬಿರಿಯಾನಿ. Because of the availability of money in your pocket, you can postpone, or you can decide when I can eat that Hyderabadi biryani. So this is a case of elastic. You can postpone means the demand is elastic. But demand is highly inelastic in case of, for example, medicines. ಜ್ವರ ಬಂದಿದೆ, ಅವನಿಗೆ ಟ್ಯಾಬ್ಲೆಟ್ ಬೇಕು ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದರೆ ನಾಳೆಯೋ ನಾಡಿದೋ ಯಾವಾಗಲೂ ಕೊಟ್ಟರೆ ಆಗೋದಿಲ್ಲ, ನೆಕ್ಸ್ಟ್ ಮಂತು. ಯಾವಾಗ ಬಂದಿದೆ ಆವಾಗ ಕೊಡಬೇಕು ಅವನಿಗೆ. ವಾಟ್ ಎವರ್ ಮೇ ಬಿ ದ ಪ್ರೈಸ್, ಯು ಡೋಂಟ್ ಬಾದರ್ ಅಬೌಟ್ ಪ್ರೈಸ್, ವಿ ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ಟು ಪ್ರೊವೈಡ್ ದಟ್ medicine. So that is called demand is inelastic for those goods which is urgent. Then the fifth one is raw materials and finished goods. The demand for raw material is inelastic, but the demand for finished goods is elastic. I repeat, the demand for raw material is inelastic, but demand for finished goods is elastic. Then sixth one is price level.
The demand is elastic for moderate prices. The demand is elastic for moderate prices, but for higher price, demand is inelastic. So, in case of moderate price, the demand is elastic, and for higher prices, demand is inelastic. Then the seventh one is income level. The rich people may continue to buy the same amount, whatever the price. Okay, they never think about the price. They always think how much quantity I want. But the poor always thinks neither to buy at more price, neither to buy a more at lower price or less at higher prices. ಪಾಪ ಪೂವರ್ ಯಾವಾಗಲೂ ಏನು ಆಲೋಚನೆ ಮಾಡ್ತಾನೆ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರೆ, ಬೆಲೆ ಕಡಿಮೆ ಇದೆ, ಜಾಸ್ತಿ ತಗೊಂಡಿಡೋದಾ ಅಂಥೇಳಿ ಬೆಲೆ ಕಡಿಮೆ ಇರುವಾಗ ಅವನು ಆಲೋಚನೆ ಮಾಡ್ತಾನೆ. ಓ, ಬೆಲೆ ಕಡಿಮೆ ಇದೆ, ಒಂದು 5 kg ತೊಗೊಂಡು ಹೋಗ್ಲಾ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿ. ಫಾರ್ ಎಕ್ಸಾಂಪಲ್ ಆನಿಯನ್ ಅಂತ ಇಟ್ಕೊಳ್ಳಿ. ಓಕೆ, ಒಂದು 5 kg ತೊಗೊಂಡು ಹೋಗ್ಲಾ ಅಂತ ಆಲೋಚನೆ ಮಾಡ್ತಾನೆ. ಇನ್ನೊಂದು ಕೇಸಲ್ಲಿ ಬೆಲೆ ಜಾಸ್ತಿ ಆದಾಗ ಏನು ಆಲೋಚನೆ ಮಾಡ್ತಾನೆ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರೆ, ಅಯ್ಯೋ ಬೆಲೆ ಜಾಸ್ತಿ ಇದೆ, ಸ್ವಲ್ಪನೇ ತೊಗೊಂಡು ಹೋಗಿಡ್ಲಾ ಅಂತ. ಸೊ ದಿಸ್ ಈಸ್ ಆಲ್ವೇಸ್ ಅ ಡೈಲಮಾ ಫಾರ್ ಪುವರ್ ಪೀಪಲ್. Then for the middle income group, they buy more at lower price and they buy less at higher price. So this is the context of elasticity of demand for the different income level groups. Then eighth one is habits. Eighth one is habits. If the consumer are habituated of some commodity, the demand for such commodity will be usually inelastic. ಯಾರಿಗಾದರೂ ಒಂದು ಅಡಿಕ್ಷನ್ ಇದೆ ಅಥವಾ ಒಂದು ಹ್ಯಾಬಿಟ್ ಇದೆ, ಅಡಿಕ್ಷನ್ ಹ್ಯಾಬಿಟ್ ಇಟ್ ಡಸಂಟ್ ಕಮ್ ಸೇಮ್ ಮೀನಿಂಗ್, ಬಟ್ ಸಮ್ಟೈಮ್ಸ್ ಯು ಕ್ಯಾನ್ ಸೇ ಒಂದು ಹ್ಯಾಬಿಟ್ಸ್ ಇನ್ ದ ಸೆನ್ಸ್ ಬ್ಯಾಡ್ ಹ್ಯಾಬಿಟ್ಸಲ್ಲಿ ಬರುವಂಥದ್ದು, ಅವರೊಂದು ಅಡಿಕ್ಟ್ ಆಗಿದ್ದಾರೆ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದರೆ, ದೇ ಯೂಶ್ವಲಿ ಗೋ ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ಬೈ ಇಟ್ whatever may be the prices. They don't bother about the price. Then the ninth one is nature of expenditure. Remember, nature of expenditure. Vechada swarupa. The demand for such commodities where a small part of income is spent, then it is highly inelastic. ಓಕೆ, ಸ್ಮಾಲ್ ಪಾರ್ಟ್ ಆಫ್ ಇನ್ಕಮ್, ಫಾರ್ ಎಕ್ಸಾಂಪಲ್ ನ್ಯೂಸ್ ಪೇಪರಿಗೆ, ಹಾಲಿಗೆ, ಬೂಟ್ ಪಾಲಿಶಿಗೆ, ಏನು ಒಂದು ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ನಮ್ಮ ಅಮೌಂಟ್ ಹೋಗುವಂಥ 10 ರೂಪಾಯೋ 20 ರೂಪಾಯೋ 30 ರೂಪಾಯೋ. ಸೊ ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಒಂದು 5 ರೂಪಾಯಿ 2 ರೂಪಾಯಿ 8 ರೂಪಾಯಿ ಜಾಸ್ತಿ ಕಡಿಮೆ ಆದರೆ ದೇ ಡೋಂಟ್ ಬಾದರ್. ವಾಟ್ ಎವರ್ ದ ಪ್ರೈಸ್ ದೇ ಫಿಕ್ಸ್ ದೇ ವಿಲ್ ಗಿವ್ ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ದೇ ವಿಲ್ ಟೇಕ್ ದ ಸರ್ವಿಸ್. ಬಟ್ ಆನ್ ದ ಅದರ್ ಹ್ಯಾಂಡ್, if the commodity is a significant part of the income, for example AC ಇರ್ಬೋದು ಅಥವಾ ಫ್ರಿಡ್ಜ್ ಇರ್ಬೋದು, ಸೊ ಬೈ ದ ಟೈಮ್ ಡಿಮಾಂಡ್ ಈಸ್ ಇಲಾಸ್ಟಿಕ್. ಓಕೆ, ಡಿಮಾಂಡ್ ಈಸ್ ಇಲಾಸ್ಟಿಕ್. ದೆನ್ ದ 10th one is distribution of income. If the income is uniformly distributed in the society, remember, if the income is uniformly distributed in the society, the demand will be elastic. In case of unequal distribution of income and wealth, in case of unequal distribution of income, the demand will be relatively elastic. So in case of uniformly distributed income, demand is elastic. In case of unequal distribution of income, the demand is inelastic. Then the next point is influence of law of diminishing marginal utility. We know that utility falls when we consume more and more unit of the commodity, but not in a uniform way. In case utility falls rapidly, It means that the consumer has no other near substitute. As a result, demand is inelastic. Conversely, if the utility falls slowly, demand for such commodity would be elastic and extended much for fall in price. So, this is actually influence of diminishing marginal utility. Then the 12th one is influence of consumer surplus. The elasticity of demand varies inversely with consumer surplus. So, the next one is joint demand. In case of a commodity being demand jointly, its elasticity will be directly governed by elasticity of other commodity. For example, the demand for petrol is depends upon the demand for the numbers of car available or numbers of the vehicle available. Then the last one is time. In case of long period, demand will be elastic. In case of long period, demand will be elastic. But in case of short period, demand will be inelastic. As during the short period, generally demand goes not change immediately due to change in price. Okay, these are the important determinants of elasticity of demand. This is a reference of concerned topic. Thank you very much for your patience listening.